What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Did you beat your wife? Did you kick a pup? We'll find your crimes and rake it up. Did you laugh at Hubbard? That's not nice, and now you'll have to pay a price. So what are your crimes, Mark? What have you done? Oh, it's too late now. Fair game's begun.
Hey, Xenu TV's back on the air, broadcasting throughout this entire sector of the galaxy and concentrating specifically here on Chigiak, our home planet. At least it is for some of us. I know there are some Markabians that came here during the last invasion, and I don't know if they've kind of infiltrated their way into society and stayed here. We're going to have ICE round them up and send them to Guantanamo Bay if that's the case, because that's the most humane thing to do. But on to lighter subjects. I'm happy you're here. I'm thrilled that you folks are joining us for tonight. JB, oops, hit it and turned it off. JB 808, National Treasure. Ta-da! I have appeared. Yay! Bunky is live just as I got home, says Cy Cater. So it's a good thing that I had trouble getting this thing started tonight. Not because there was any problem with the streaming stuff, but I was trying to put together a lovely thumbnail to add to the stream, and then it didn't let me put the thumbnail up on it anyway. So afterwards, I'll put a thumbnail on this on YouTube, and it'll be beautiful. Oh boy. Ace Skip 86. Hey, bro, Matt from Fargo. Amazing videos, my friend. Thank you. Now, Fargo the city or Fargo the TV show? Because Fargo the TV show, I love. Especially this last season. Do you folks watch Fargo? I was blown away by John Hamm as the villain in this last season, and the English gal. Oh God, why can't I think of her name? But the female lead in it this season was spectacular. Hank Tour Niner is here. Hello, my good wogs and SPs. Hello back to you. And that is Fargo the city. You know, I have nothing against Fargo the city. I think I probably went through there one time, traveling around the country. I'm not positive though. It's let's just say it's one of my favorite cities in the country, just to kind of get me out of this jam. I've only seen the movie JB 808. Well, you're in for a treat. They have done a great job. Noah something created the TV version and has been producing it. And it's something like Noah Haley. I don't know, something like that. Somebody will look it up and we'll have that answer for you. Each season is a different story, different characters, all kind of having that same feeling of the movie. And this last season was maybe my favorite so far. First two were pretty great. The guy who did Fargo, the TV show, has a new series, a TV series based on Alien, coming out soon. I saw a teaser for it already. And I'll be really interested to see how that works, because the whole idea of a weekly TV series where the alien from the Alien film has arrived on Earth, I'm not sure how they can carry that over week after week, but I trust this guy to do it. If he can make Fargo as amazing a show as he has, I want to see what he does with Alien. Coffee first, please, says from hi to hello all. Yeah, I protested the cult and told me of the LM brick, Lisa McPherson brick. Okay. So tonight, I wanted to play a video. JB808, random question. Am I the only one that doesn't mind spoilers? I've looked up movies on Wikipedia whilst watching it in the theater. I'd rather not have spoilers. It really can diminish the joy of something. You know, God, what was the name of that film? Usual Suspects, I think. Award-winning film. And, you know, the big mystery through the whole thing is who is Kaiser Sose? And I said, oh, I'm going to watch that tonight. And then my friend said, oh, yeah, and so is Kaiser Sose. Okay, well, I've just avoided that for several years now, but thank you for filling me in. And I got to tell you, this some spoilers aren't that bad. They're not that spoilery. Liked Alien Romulus. I agree with the Ace. I thought that was a really solid film. So I root for the franchise, even when some of the stuff that comes out is really disappointing. What was I going to say about this? If you like the Alien films, good Lord, there are DVDs and Blu-rays out there of the original 4 films with a massive amount of extra material, from commentaries to hours and hours and hours of video about the production of the films. Well worth checking out if you're an Aliens fan, if you haven't done that already. One last thing about that, which I was going to share. Now, I guess it's more something about spoilers. Spoilers can ruin your enjoyment of the film. I read the review in the paper. I just read the first paragraph in the review of the movie The Sixth Sense. And it said, oh, what a great film this was. And there's a twist that changes the whole perception of the film. And so I said, oh, okay, I'm going to stop right now. I don't want to read any more. I don't want this ruined. And I went to the theater, and a certain character, if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense yet, I don't think it's spoilering it for too many people. I'm the spoilering guy tonight. So I'm watching the film, and in the first few minutes, somebody is shot. And I said, oh, okay. Well, he sees dead people, and that person was shot. And so I guess he's dead. And so through the whole film, I had that view of the movie. Yep, he's not talking. No one's talking back to him when he's addressing them, except for the little kid. So spoilers can hurt your enjoyment of a film. Rathazinu, hello from Canada. Hello to you. We really want you to become a 51st state, massive 51st state with, lots of liberals up there, nice, friendly, liberal people to kind of help take back the country. I know it's a horrible deal for you, but you may be our only hope. Help us, Canada. You're our only hope. Carla's loving wife. Evening, everyone. Popcorn Yellow to smile. Well, there you go. Welcome. Bite your tongue, Mark. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm considering doing a separate political vlog because I can't take what's going on now. I mean, Zelensky is not a dictator, and he didn't start the war. Oh, God. And Kelly's bucking me up here that we'll go down swinging. I hope so. I think people are starting to take a few swings right now. And Ham It Up Again says, "Hi, Mark, more wisdom. How about we adopt you instead? LOL. You know, I would accept that too. I would love that." And Kelly loves it too. So get ready. We're ready to join you. Sorry, Canada is going to join the EU. You can't have it. All right. You know, I give it back. You go ahead. You do what you want. Just welcome us into your open arms. Ham It Up Again. I'll marry you if you need to immigrate to Canada. You know, that sounds like a fair deal to me. Goblin would like a stream on politics. This is a strange time, and yeah, that's the only reason I consider doing it, because there's not enough people who are willing to speak out, and I think each and every one of us have to, in order to get anybody in a position of power to do anything. He is bearded and he is wise and he is liberal. We love you, Mark. Well, I grew up watching Phil Donahue, so he was my guiding light in my formative years. So yeah, I have a more open view of society than whoever might be in the White House right now. Another proposal. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Kelly. They're just piling up here. I have so many women to choose from, or men as well. I don't know. I saw where'd it go? It looked like a little icon of a woman doing what? Signaling like that. What is the icon there? Is that? Hello, don't. All right, back to business here. Oh, Kelly's keeping track of the proposals. That's nice of you. Maybe I should just allow you to pick and choose, who I should marry. Because I have not made the best decisions in my life, so I'm willing to have a matchmaker. I'm a JFK Democrat, says 49ers for life, not this radical version that believes in going after people in war. Okay. And Ham It Up Again is a grassroots political activist up there in Canada. We have a big election coming up this year, keeping Maple MAGA out. Do you have a MAGA type of attempt to win an election? I haven't really been following up there. I know there's so many countries around the world where now we've got the far right extreme groups that are winning power. And witness rolling on the floor, Mark. People trying to tell me who to marry to. Well, we could simplify this by, the two of us can just get married, and then everybody else can say it's too late. Stop with the advice. Carla's loving wife, Mark, you do a nice job with eye contact. I try. You connect with the viewer. I bet that's why so many. I bet that's why so many want to marry you. Yes, it's my warm and tender eye contact. I appreciate that. No, it is frustrating when I know early on I was looking at stuff on here and tried to read things, but I like to talk directly to you, so that's what I try to do. Kelly made that marriage mistake one time, never again. And witnesses into the arranged marriages, so I guess I have to move on from there. Ham it up again. Yes, our right-wing conservative candidate is in bed with Musk and Trump. Mark, what are your crimes? Praise Xenu, praise the COB, says Nick Lobello. Well, I'll praise Xenu. He's misunderstood. The chairman of the board, we understand him perfectly. So I'm not going to praise him. In fact, I'm going to play a commentary that I did when I was on the council. I stumbled on it a couple nights ago, and I watched it. And I thought, that's a good solid takedown of Slappy. And one thing I loved about it, after the meeting, our then mayor said, we can't let him go on and on with this. There's a 3-minute time limit. And I always wrote my comments out so they'd be 3 minutes. I went home and I watched the tape. It's exactly 2 minutes and 59 seconds of quality commentary, ripping into Slappy quite a bit. So I'll dig that up and play that some night if you don't mind. And Wrath of Xenu, if it gets too intense for you, it would be great to come and stay up here for a while. Canada is up there in Canada or up there on Markab. I can make it to Canada probably, until Elon actually gets those rockets moving properly. I probably won't be able to make it to Markab. All right. Kelly says, Wrath of Xenu is looking for someone to shovel that 6 feet of snow. I know what that's like. I grew up in Wisconsin. So I guess I will stay here. Wait, Antarctica? I've been thinking of going to a poll. Well, if you do, vote liberal. Oh, different type of poll. Oh. Okay. So enough of this. Enough, everybody. We've got important work to do here tonight. And that's sitting back and watching a video. But it's an important sitting back and watching a video. I'm preparing all the interviews I did in Leipzig. We took 2 trips to Leipzig, Germany back in 2000 and 2001. First year, Bob was getting, Bob Minton, fellow who put together the Lisa McPherson Trust. He received a humanitarian award, so we all went over for that. And then a year later, he was presenting that award to the next person. So we went over for that. The first year, though, I sat down with some folks who wanted to share their stories. And most everybody in our crowd was inside a restaurant, having a nice meal. I took the camera outside and had these interview subjects sitting on the streets of Leipzig. I thought, well, this will be picturesque. It'll be lovely. Boy, did I screw up. I was a novice. I got a video camera for the first time in '99 and started shooting video, and just using, a fairly, I think I do a fairly good job of composing shots. When I'm out there filming a picket or something, I usually think I have a good eye for getting people into the frame. In this case, what I didn't understand was exposure. So the white balance is off to begin with, but also the people who were speaking. There were 3 people that I interviewed. 2 were on the streets of Leipzig there. The other one was at a different location, and that one turned out fine. In fact, I just finished upscaling that to 4K. But the other 2 interviews were filled with lots of really great stuff, but they've been incredibly washed out, and they're so embarrassing. And online for 25 years, they've sucked visually. In fact, let me show you what they look like now. What people have been watching.
I got in Scientology because my parents were in Scientology before I was born, and my mom was on staff when I was born.
Did you go to Scientology schools when you were a child?
No.
So you were with a lot of other children who weren't Scientologists.
Yeah.
All right. So that's how it has looked, and I've been doing my best to try to get some color into it, to try to make it look a little bit better. It looks a little better, and it's not as blurry and as crappy as it is right now. But I think I have something that's quasi acceptable, and I hope that that you agree that this is not burning your eyes, and you don't have to stop watching video ever again from looking at this video. And we are going to watch Vivien's video tonight. Vivien had quite a story of growing up in the Sea Org. And I listened to the questions that I was asking her, and clearly I did not know much about Scientology at that point. A few months into the LMT, I'm still learning. And hopefully I've got a lot of this stuff down pat now. But it's also kind of embarrassing to see, the job I did as an interviewer. But I said, you know what? Let me be embarrassed. Let's put this on and let everybody watch it in as best a condition as we can. Witness says there are some good film colorization people on YouTube. I've seen some really good 1920s colorization lately. Yes, I have too. And I really love those videos. It's amazing. It's the same technique that Peter Jackson used. I think this is the first time I saw it. The guy who made the Lord of the Rings films did a World War I documentary where he took all this old black and white footage, cleaned it up, colorized it, timed it right so that everybody was moving properly, because the frame rate of silent films, usually they look sped up, and that's why it works great for comedies like Chaplin and Keaton and things like that. But for dramas, it's kind of awkward. But he cleaned those films up and colorized it and added sound effects to it. And good Lord, that was just astonishing to see. And somebody will know the name of that. Like they never grew old or something like that. Well, Kelly thinks they always make the mouths look weird. There is that problem when you're working with material that may not be in great condition and you don't have the ability. They shall not grow old. Thank you, Goblin. They shall not grow old. If you haven't seen it, it's out there somewhere. You should watch it. So the folks who are doing these on YouTube and doing them extremely well have been bringing these old films even to the 1890s. I think there were some that really look spectacular. And last night I was looking at some stuff from Metropolis. Have you seen the silent movie Metropolis? It is from Fritz Lang, a great director, a German director who came here as the Nazi regime took over in Germany. He was one of the most talented exiles who came here to America and started working in our film industry, along with Billy Wilder, who's maybe my favorite writer-director. So Metropolis is just a stunning film visually, as Witness can affirm. And there was a re-release of it in the theaters several years back, where Roger Ebert was still alive at that time, because I'm sure that they kind of reviewed it on their show and got me to go to the theater to see it, even though I'd seen it at home already. And it just looks so spectacular in this revival. But the reason I'm mentioning it, last night I was watching and downloading a couple of videos that were colorized and brought up to 4K 60 frames per second, as I'm doing with some of these videos. And like the Mad Picket, I put it in the 60 frames per second so it feels like it's on videotape and you're there. So they did this with a dance scene in Metropolis, and there are two different people who have edited it differently and mixed different music in there. Basically the same. Both of them are compelling. Look, if you do a search on YouTube for a Metropolis dance scene, you will find it, and the imagery just in that sequence is eye-popping, especially when all the eyes are popping on the screen. There's shots where you just go, I've never seen that before. Okay, if you haven't seen it, check it out at some point. I'm going to stop talking about that. I will talk about, however, Roger Ebert, because I loved Roger Ebert. Went to the same school as you. How about that? At the same time, I miss Siskel and Ebert. I think we all should. I enjoyed their show more than a lot of the movies they reviewed. Oh, and I have a Siskel and Ebert story to tell. It's not a great story, but I'm going to take a moment to share it anyway. I was a youthful 30-year-old working at Paramount Studios on the Arsenio Hall show this particular day. And this was, I've shared the story before about how Mike Tyson would hang out on the Paramount lot. Eddie Murphy had an office there, so he would come every day and just hang out with Eddie Murphy. And then he'd have Eddie Murphy's golf cart and just kind of drive around the studio at Paramount. And he used to go into the Arsenio Hall show, and some of the women in there were fed up with some of his behavior. And they told me one day, Mark, we want you to stand at the guest door and don't let Mike Tyson in. And I did. I stood there at the door, and Mike Tyson got off his golf cart, came up, And I said to him as he approached, "I'm sorry, Mr. Tyson, I can't let you in." And he just looked me in the face, nice and close like this, and said, "Get out of my way." And I just said, "Okay." Stepped aside, let him go in. I'm not nuts. And this was like a month or so after he'd bitten the ear off that opponent. And he had, been in the news for bashing around his wife. So, get out of my way was enough for me. Anyway, at that very same door, although not on that same day, Siskel and Ebert came to the show, and they really did have a feud through much of the time they worked together. They could get on each other's nerves, but clearly there was a bond there as well. But even though both of them were probably staying at the same hotel when they were here, because they're based in Chicago. But and when I say here, I don't mean Clearwater, I mean LA. They both arrived in separate limousines, and I talked just briefly with them, telling them how much I appreciated them, and I don't remember any of the specifics of it, but at the end of after the show, they came out and they were discussing where to eat. Then they got into their own limos and met there at the restaurant. So it can't be that big of a feud if they're getting together like that. Oh boy, and I have not been looking at any of the comments here, and let's see. But Kelly is right. Don't forget to hit that like, everyone. And how could you not like this stream with all these? I'm here to talk about Scientology and the problems of Sea Org kids. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Mike Tyson. I'm talking about movies, and I love it. I love it. I'm happy you put up with me. I liked Ebert better. Ebert. I don't know about Siskel. I liked them both, but I agree. I was a much bigger fan of Roger Ebert, and I agreed more often than not with Roger Ebert. I have to say, though, that I have watched the one movie that he wrote, and I have to give a thumbs down. He if you don't know, he wrote the script for Russ Meyer's Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which had nothing to do with Valley of the Dolls at all, except it was being released by the same studio that made Valley of the Dolls. And they thought, well, this will make us some more money if we just call it Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And Russ Meyer was director, and I have not seen, I don't know if I've seen any other of his films. I got a couple of them right now that have commentaries on the films from him and the female leads in his movies, and I'm curious to watch those. I'm not that crazy about sitting through the film, which and lots of critics at the time were really digging Russ Meyer, including Roger Ebert, which is why he wrote a script for him, because he was just such a huge fan. But Russ Meyer did these action comedies with lots of naked women, and believe me, I appreciate naked women. But if the whole point is, that's the movie, there are other movies you could go to that probably have more naked ladies in them. Anyway, so Roger Ebert wrote this film, which sucks. But then he was nice enough to do a commentary track for the Criterion Collection release of it. And he did great commentary tracks. Do you all remember Ebert's review of a movie called North? He gave it 0 stars, and his title was something along the lines of "I hate it, hate it, hate it, hated it." Yeah, he had a book that was all about all the films he hates, and that is an oddity, because North was, I think, the first of the collapse of Rob Reiner's directing career. I mean, here's a guy that made so many spectacular films in a row, and I did see him at the stage door for Arsenio Hall as well, and told him how much I loved Princess Bride and all his work, but that one specifically. And he just kind of went, "Okay, thanks," and went in. That's okay. I didn't need him to sit there and talk with me. But that film and Spinal Tap and what are the other early films that he made? Really great films. And then North came out and was a complete disaster. And so many of his films afterwards have just been disastrous. And you have to wonder, why? What went wrong? Let me mention one other. Let me bring this up first, since we are talking about Roger Ebert. I highly recommend Ebert's autobiography, Life Itself. It's one of the best. The audiobook is good too, read by the late, great Edward Herman. And yes, terrific. And they made a movie also called Life Itself, a documentary film about his career and the cancer that took away his jaw, essentially, at the end of his life, and took away his voice, which is the most painful thing for him. But he rolled with it all. No matter, how much adversity he had, he still had a positive attitude and still loved going to the movies. Naked ladies all the time? Yeah. I wouldn't mind it in my real life, but I like a plot in a movie. And Goblin AFK. Oh, I didn't know that. I'll get it. Edward sounds familiar for some reason. Edward Herman is a really nice, a good actor, very solid. And look him up. I think he plays, as I recall, I think he played the father of Goldie Hawn in a movie that I really love. Goldie Hawn and Steve Martin made a movie. House Guest was the name of it. Little comedy, a kind of a screwball comedy, and I never tire of watching it. If you haven't seen it, give it a shot. But I've looked at reviews of it in the last couple of months, and they're giving it, a negative review. And like, really? That's a delightful film. Spinal Tap was amazing. Yep. Oh, he was the father on Gilmore Girls. I've never had a chance to see Gilmore Girls, although I did buy it. I've got it. I'm going to watch it at some point. But it's one of those shows where I understand everybody loves. And I do say I have seen the woman who plays the spectacular. And I've seen other shows that the creator of Gilmore Girls did. I think Bunheads was her next one, about a woman who's got a little a ballet studio that she's trying to keep afloat with kids. And it was a good show. Apparently it had the same rhythm, same style of dialogue. Anyway, I'm off on yet another tangent. Wait a minute. We're 40 minutes into this. I barely mentioned anything about Scientology. So for all you Scientology folks who are going, come on, get on with it. I'll get on with it soon. Rob Reiner directed a couple of my favorite films, Stand By Me and Misery, says JB808. Yep, both are great. Kathy Bates is terrific. You are right. Wonderful films. That's why, such a skilled hand in putting those films together. Post North, things were really shaky. But that reminded me of another director who made one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a comedy about a year in the life of Mel Brooks, produced by Mel Brooks. And it's just, what's the name of it now? Richard Benjamin directed it. And the guy who stars in it, Mark something or other. Oh boy, I like being old. He's terrific. Everybody's terrific in this film. But he's playing young Mel Brooks, just getting hired to write on the Sid Caesar comedy show in the 1950s. And he has to shepherd around the big movie star guest and keep him out of trouble. And that was Peter O'Toole, playing an Errol Flynn type of guy and late in his career who's drinking and carousing. And you just had to, kind of keep him on track to do this live comedy show. Brilliant, brilliant film. And it's got Lou Jacoby in it. And Lou Jacoby should have been in everything. He can't, unfortunately, he's not available to be in everything now. But there's one line in the film when he finds out that Errol Flynn's gonna be coming there, and the name. And he's excited. Oh, we got a star coming here, and somebody mentions Al Jolson. They go, Jolson's coming? No, Jolson's not coming. My favorite year. God bless you. One of those things where I know that, but can I think of it at the moment? No. My favorite year, if you haven't seen it, give it a shot. TGAC is my oyster, says Hank209, and this is my platform to talk about whatever I want. Yeah, let's get into it. I'm talking about what I want. Let me take this down. But the reason I brought that up is, Richard Benjamin directed this film. And I think it's like flawless. Absolutely flawless. And I think virtually everything he's done since then has sucked. I remember that I think the very next film he made was called Milk Money. And it was, Melanie Griffith, who is playing a hooker. And these young kids who feel sorry about their dad because their dad's alone now that mom's gone. And so they pool their money, their milk money, to hire her to cheer the dad up. And I don't know. Even at the time, it seemed like a really unnecessary story to have little kids buying a hooker for dad. And if it had been funny, you could accept that. You go, oh, wow, they made a lot of good points, and it turned out warm and lovable in the end, and wasn't nearly the disaster we thought it would be. But no, it was the disaster that you would think it was. And every time I see Richard Benjamin's name on a film, I go, oh boy, okay. There's another director though who's absolutely was one of the most successful directors back in the 60s and 70s. and was also, I think he was in charge of one of the film guilds. I don't know if it's the Directors Guild, probably. But this guy directed, well, I guess he directed Love Story and a lot of hits like that, which, you know, I don't think I've ever seen Love Story, more than a couple minutes of it. But he did make good movies. And then he made The In-Laws, which, along with My Favorite Year, it's like, oh, please, this is a perfect comedy. Alan Arkin, Peter Falk. Just, if you haven't seen it, you've got to see it. And that was a Christmas gift I gave myself this year as well. I got the Criterion copy on Blu-ray of that movie, lovingly restored, commentary track that included both Peter Falk and Alan Arkin from a few years back. Great movie. And can I think of the name of this director right now? No, I can't. But every time I see his name after that, you know, it's just been lousy. I have to wonder how some movies get made. To put that much money behind a bad idea is astounding. And, you know, it certainly can be astounding. And I think a lot of people go, how did that get made? But there is one truism that William Goldman, the screenwriter, he was a great script doctor. He wrote, in fact, he wrote Misery, as far as I remember. But he wrote a book, Adventures in the Screen Trade, which I read, you know, when it came out decades ago. And his central point is one that gets repeated all the time in Hollywood. Nobody knows anything. You know, you think, oh, this is going to be spectacular, and it sucks. Or you think, oh, my God, why did we greenlight this? It's going to be a disaster. And it turns out to be a hit. Nobody knows anything. You're taking a stab in the dark. You can put together the greatest combinations of script actors and things like that. But if that combination isn't right, it can all go south. I did not expect to hear comments about naked ladies and hookers. Too funny. Thanks, says Carla's loving wife. Well, you never know what's going to happen here at Xenu TV. When I'm set free like this, sky's the limit. Hey, Mark, remember that movie Tom Cruise made in Chicago where he ran a brothel all over his parents' house? Witness? Yeah, that's a good film. I haven't seen it in years, but I've got a copy of it. What was the name of that? That's the one where he's sliding in on the floor, right? In his underwear and socks. That was his first breakout film, as far as I know. Can I think of the name of it? No, I can't think of anything. Do not ask me to come up with names of people or films anymore. Risky Business. Yep, that's right. Thank you, Kelly. That is it. I remember enough that when I see it, I go, oh yeah, that's what I would. That's what they. That's an amazing Scientology movie, and what I guess I have to watch it again. How is it a Scientology movie? Huh. Oh. Back when Tom was a human? Well, okay. I'm not going to go there because I personally think Tom is a talented fella and a hard worker. And I'm still hoping someday he says, all this Scientology stuff, and I'm not sure about that. And Miscavige, I saw him beating the staff. I'm out of here. Would I recommend Adventures in the Screen Trade? Yeah, absolutely. Another great film. Great book, rather. 49ers for Life is a fan of both Top Gun films. I got to tell you, I I never saw Top Gun. It wasn't until they had done Top Gun Maverick and it was about to come out in the theater, I finally broke down and said, all right, let me watch Top Gun. And, you know, I guess I get why people like it. And for me, the aversion to it is not Tom Cruise, because he does films that I really enjoy. But just that whole hero arc thing in a jet, it didn't do much for me. And then the sequel, everybody raved about the sequel, and I guess I was not the audience for it, but I saw it anyway. And hey, you love Top Gun, you are correct. Those are popular films. Those are supposedly great films that I just don't connect with. And that can happen. Oh no, Mark, you were never forced to watch Top Gun? What? No, witness, no. Nobody forces me to do anything. Well, that's not true. Kelly says, I haven't seen a Tom Cruise movie since Rain Man. Yeah, and I remember back when Rain Man came out, I had a friend who was saying, oh, I hate that Tom Cruise. I said, well, did you see this film? Dustin Hoffman is doing this little mannered thing where, it's very theatrical. Gotta watch Wapner. And Tom Cruise, I thought, acted rings around him. Your free will is what I like about you, Mark. You don't hide in the shadows. In fact, I give you eye contact. I'm not hiding. I'm right here. Look at this baby browns. I wish they were baby blue. Dustin was great in that film. You're right. He was. And okay, now this, I have to put this up here. Coffee first, please. I like Tom's first movie, The Legend, but not the rest. And I believe you're talking about Legend, the kind of fairy tale thing that Tom Cruise did for Mr. Director of Alien and all those other great films. That one I never got. I think I tried watching it again. I probably did watch it all the way through when it came out on Laserdisc or DVD with the original soundtrack on it before they got rid of. I think it was it Jerry Horner or Horner, who did Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan. And did a lot of great film scores. He wrote a score for that movie. I believe it was him. And the studio said, nah, let's put some pop tunes on it. And that changed the entire feeling of the movie. Hey, you interested in seeing a video about Scientology? Coffee first, please. Remember seeing it at the drive-in. I miss drive-ins. I remember seeing a lot of stuff at the drive-in. And Kelly, I know I'll get on with it, but there was an outdoor theater in my hometown. And I won a Halloween costume contest as Oliver Hardy. and me and my friend who was dressed as Stan, well, my longtime friend Billy Lewis IV. So we got free movie passes for a year. Anything we wanted to go to at the theaters in town, we got to go to. And so we went to a lot of stuff and then walked out 10 minutes into it going, I don't want to watch this, but it's free. So we got in. Year movies was nice. Yep. All right. It's time to watch a video. And, I think it's important that we give Vivien a chance to tell her story here. You may have seen this already because I've had it on the web for 25 years. But let's take a look at it again because I haven't watched it. I hadn't watched it in a long, long, long time as I was putting this together again. And it's astonishing the journey that she was on. The fact that, as she'll tell you, spoiler, Dad got remarried, and the new wife said, "I don't want her around." So off to the Sea Org she went, and that's the beginning of the tale. So, okay. Now look, you did this to me. You did this to me. I gotta blame Hank 209er on this one. Tom Cruise is watchable. It's that darn Nicolas Cage. You couldn't pay me to watch his films. Okay, I'm not going to pay you. But I understand what you're saying. Years and years and years, I felt the same way. Nicolas Cage is going nuts. He's taking any part, and he was, because he needed to make money to pay off IRS debt. But then, a couple of years ago, he made a film that is absolutely stunning, very funny, and revived my interest in seeing him. And apparently, he's done a lot of decent, or even well-reviewed films like Pig, which I haven't seen yet, about a guy who's truffle hunting pig is lost, and he's hunting for him throughout the film. But the Unbearable Weight of Talent, it's something like that, is the name of this, where he is playing himself, and he's also playing an alter ego version of himself that he talks to. That is the movie version of Nicolas Cage. So you got the actor who's being talked into the studio to do a respectable buddy film. It's even better than that. I'm remember more of the wackiness now. But to see Nicolas Cage battling with himself, his on-screen incarnation of himself was tons of fun. This film is very well written, very funny, and it was the first time I really paid attention to this guy who's really big right now, who is the Mandalorian, and whose name, of course, I can't remember at this moment. But he was a revelation to me. He's like a mafia kingpin or something that is paying to have Nicolas Cage spend the weekend at his mansion, and he's nuts. But that performance was spectacular. He and Nicolas Cage together. That's well worth seeing. If you haven't seen it, Pedro Pascal. Yeah, you're right. Now, go see that film or rent it, buy it. You can buy it online at any number of places. Pedro Pascal is fantastic in it, and so is Nicolas Cage. The Unbearable Weight of Talent, a massive talent. I will watch it. Good for you. Hank 209er, I think you'll appreciate it. Goblin AFK, it's like we're playing Jeopardy. Okay. Hey, did I mention Vivien? She grew up in Scientology. And let's take a look at her video, okay? Maybe I probably should not show videos at all. I just come on and talk about movies. But for now, we're going to enjoy this. Sit back and relax.
I got in Scientology because my parents were in Scientology before I was born. And my mom was on staff when I was born.
Did you go to Scientology schools when you were a child?
No.
No. So you were with a lot of other children who weren't Scientologists.
Yeah. The only thing which I can say is when it came up that I was a Scientologist, it was like that the teachers were aggressive to me, and they were like telling the other the other students in the class that I was a criminal person, and that I should get penalties, and that I shouldn't be in that school, and I should leave the school. And my parents came and they gave them the book, What is Scientology? And it didn't take a week, and that book came to the director of the school, and he was reading the book. He was like really studying, like Scientology says, if you don't understand a word, clear it up in a dictionary. If you have a lack of mass, do demonstrations. If you have a too high gradient, you go back to that point where you have understood everything and you have no problems anymore. So that's what he did. So then I was like, he was hiding me when any person was trying to hit me or something like that.
So he backed you.
So I just wanted to pause it for a moment because it seems out of sync here, and it wasn't when I uploaded it, so I apologize for that. Sometimes if you just restart the stream from here, it may sync up. So let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you grew up studying L. Ron Hubbard's works, and you thought L. Ron Hubbard was a great...
He was a god. He was like, for me, he was my god.
If you had a problem, would you turn to...
I was turning to the books, what he read.
And did they help you?
Well, for example, the ethics book, I was trying to do the conditions, but nothing was really changing on that point. I was always thinking, well, nothing changed with me. I'm not a free person, but I was doing the conditions.
What did you think was wrong with you that you were trying to improve?
Well, in the ethics book, it's there's stated if somebody doesn't want help, or if somebody gets help, and you still have the feeling that he's not getting helped, and there's no change, and he has no wins and everything, he's a suppressive person. So at that point, I was really thinking I was a suppressive person.
Were you worried about that?
Yeah.
And now you are a suppressive person. Are you worried about that?
No, not anymore.
All right.
They asked me, do you want to help to clear the word? And I said, yes, I want to help to clear the word. I want that every single person who is criminal to get some penalty, so they don't do the same things again. So they told me, well, you're on the right place. You have to go to the Sea Org, and you do some stuff. You do mass work before, and then you do 6 courses. And I said, okay, well, what kind of mass work do I do? And they said, well, you're going to clean the toilets. And 2 days later, I was on the EPF. And the first 1.5 weeks, I was crying every single day. I was like really crying because I was missing my parents. And I spoke to my parents about 3 times a day. At that point, I didn't go to school. I did about 8 or 9 months I was doing mass work and doing the EPF. And I had pain like everywhere in my body. I couldn't work anymore, so I didn't do the mass work. I didn't continue the mass work. I started working in the qual office. And then the captain of ASH UK, she was saying, Darlene. I just know the Darlene. That's what her name is. And she went to the Qualsack and told them, listen, she has to go on mass work to do the real EPF, or otherwise she has to go back to Germany. So he was asking me if I want to continue the mass work. I said, no, I'm not going to continue the mass work. I want to go home to my parents.
Were you surprised that you had to clean toilets in Pennsylvania?
I wasn't really surprised to clean. I wasn't surprised to clean the toilets. I was more surprised what kind of mess work I had to do. Because one kind of mess work I did was, you know St. Hill, right? A little bit.
I know of it. I've never been there.
Okay. Well, you know, there's St. Hill. Here is St. Hill Manor, where Erwin Hubbard has lived, and there is the castle, and here's the hill, and here is the lake, and everything which comes from the toilets goes through the lake, through a pipe, and that pipe was broken. So me as an APFer, I had to take the shit from the toilets out from the lake with a jumpsuit, right, and with my hands. And I couldn't believe that I should do that. Or like building castles.
How many people were doing that with you? Was this,
We were 4 people.
4 people?
Mm.
And you did this for how long?
For 1.5 weeks.
And,
Good Lord.
And did anyone protest? Did anyone?
I protest. I said, I'm not going to do that. And he said, well, if you're not going to do that, then you're not following the, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm going to come
Say
up
that
with
in
the
English.
phrase now.
Well, you're,
Come on.
You know,
You're not following what I say. No, how you say that?
orders and
Orders, exactly. You're not following my order, so you are at ethics. You have to go to ethics. I said, okay, well, I'm going to follow your order, and I'm going to do that.
But no one was concerned that of a possible illness.
No.
And
If you're ill, you're PTS, and you have out ethics.
so if you're ill, it's your fault. It's not bacteria.
No,
the crap
your fault.
You're carrying around.
Exactly, because you did out ethics. You have OWs. So the only reason why you can go PTS on somebody or something, you have OWs.
So you did this for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And what else did they have you doing?
Well, I built the stables.
Build them? You were out there with hammers and nails?
Yeah, exactly. Or I was raking. You know, in St. Hill, everywhere is grass.
Yes.
So we were raking all grass in St. Hill. Or we were sweeping the whole way, which is going through to St. Hill.
When did you start in the morning? When did you stop?
I start in the morning at 8 o'clock, and I stop working at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I went at 6 o'clock on study.
Oh, you studied
So-
for how long?
Till 10 o'clock.
And was this schedule difficult for you?
It was difficult because I had the feeling that I'm not getting enough sleep. I was always tired. And the food over there was beans and rice.
That's all you ate?
Not all the time. Sometimes we had salad, sometimes we had potatoes, but the potatoes there was too much salt on the potatoes, or the salad, there was not enough salt or not enough pepper or oil or yeah.
Did you have meat?
We had sometimes meat,
Sometimes.
but not very often.
And how many meals a day did you have?
Once in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening.
And for breakfast, what would you normally have?
Sometimes we had cheese toast, or we had eggs,
Yeah.
or sometimes we didn't have enough time to eat breakfast.
And then you're really, so
Yeah.
you'd go without breakfast, and you'd be out there working all day long. But your other 2 meals in the day were ordinarily what you said before, rice and beans and cabbage.
Well, rice and beans came when when ASHUK didn't make enough money. Basically, they're doing the money. So, and if they're not doing enough money, the whole crew, the whole St. Hill crew, gets shit food, except CMO and CLO. And the rest get shit food.
So because the org was downstat, you suffered.
Exactly.
Did it make you want to work harder?
Yeah.
Did you feel it was right that you would be penalized like that?
No. I had the feeling, you know, if the crew ACHUK is not making enough money, it's not my fault. Because that's their job to make the money. It's not my job to make the money. My job was to do the math work, to go and study.
Did you express that to people?
No, if I would have, no. Some other person did that, and that person went to ethics.
So you saw.
I saw that, yeah,
And that silenced you.
exactly.
But this mess work was first couple of weeks, you said, or
8 months.
8 months.
Yeah, I did that 8 months.
Before you were worthy of joining the Sea Org.
The first time I didn't really join the Sea Org because you have to finish the EPF, and if you don't finish the EPF, you're not starting to be a Sea Org member. You're not a Sea Org member before you haven't finished the EPF. So the second time when I went on the EPF, I finished the EPF during I think I took 3 or 4 weeks, and yeah, and then I was a Sea Org member.
And what were the courses you took in that one?
Well, I did a course regarding studying, how do you study, and then I did a course called Welcome to the Sea Org.
What was that like? What did you learn in that?
Well, how is the ship built? What kind of why is the Sea Org?
But you weren't on a ship.
No, I wasn't on a ship.
But you had to learn how the ship was built.
Exactly, because the Sea Org is like a ship. Like if you were on the ship.
I see. What do you learn in the ethics course?
Everything about ethics. Yeah, I had to read the whole ethics book and about 30 other policies, FOs or HCO policies about ethics.
I was never in Scientology. It seems like Scientology's idea of ethics is far different from the real world's view of ethics. Were there any contrasts that you saw in Scientology ethics? Is there anything that we would find interesting? Anything that struck you odd when you were taking the course?
Well, the only thing which I couldn't really understand was the thing about the suppressive person. Because there is like about 20 points about a suppressive person. And I was like thinking, well, okay, my dad is a suppressive person. My grandma is a suppressive person. You know, that was the kind of thought I had when I was reading it. So that's the reason why I couldn't understand it.
You thought they fell into these traits?
Yeah.
That made up a suppressive person?
Exactly. And during that time, I was also thinking that I myself was a suppressive person. And then some point,
Scientologists, weren't they?
Yeah. And then there was coming one point where it says, a suppressive person never thinks that he is a suppressive person. So somebody who thinks he is a suppressive person isn't a suppressive person.
That sounds like L. Ron Hubbard thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're back with your family for how long again before you go back?
I came back when I was, I think, about 1 or 2 months before I was getting 14. And then I was till I was 15 there. And in the summer holidays of Munich, I think that was a July or something. July, I think 92 or 91 or something. I went back to St. Hill. But the only reason why I went back to St. Hill was because I was actually supposed to go on stage and sing.
But
But at the first time I came there, they grabbed me and they would bring me to the recruitment office. And they told me, well, everything what happened in the past is all cancelled. It happened and nobody's going to look at it. And you have a new chance to come to the Sea Org, to do the EPF, to finish the EPF. Everything has changed. The rule has been harder. And the EPFIC has harder rules, and he really has to take care of his EPFer, and the CMO is pushing everything and things like that. And they gave the promise that I'm going to go to school, and I told them, well, if I can do career as a singer in the Sea Org, I'm going to come. Otherwise, I'm not going to sign the contract. And they promised that I go to school, and it never happened.
So when you came back, did you have to go through the EPF again?
Yeah.
And was it as brutal?
Well, I didn't do the same thing like with the lake story there.
Right.
But it
Yes,
is,
the pipe was probably
Yeah.
fixed by then.
yeah, exactly.
So what type of things did they have you doing then?
I was helping to build Walsh Manor. This is like a real big building, like, yeah, about this building.
Yeah.
And I was helping to build that building. This is the building for all staffs in the UK and all CEO members in the UK, where they live.
And same type of schedule, 8 till 5, then study at night. And how long were you working on this then?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, and then you graduated this time, and you became part of the CO.
Exactly.
And what was that like?
I was feeling like, man, I did it. I really did it. Yeah.
So you had a win.
Yeah. I had a real big win.
And was the Sea Org what you expected?
Yeah. At that point, yes.
So
But
what type of jobs were you doing?
I was for about 2 years, I was a receptionist. Like, if you're a receptionist, you're responsible for everybody who's in the building in ASH UK. You have to know where's the CEO. You have to know where all the executives are. If a public comes, you have to have a routing form. You're responsible that all routing forms are there. There's about 20 or 30 different routing forms you have to have. You're responsible that the public are going to the reg office to give them money, you know. I was responsible for all the letters which come in and go out. I was responsible for what else? I was writing about 100 letters a day to publics.
What were those letters?
Like, for example, you have a file, right? And you take a look at the file. What did the person in Scientology? How long has the person haven't been there? For example, you write in this letter, dear, I don't know, dear Bean or whatever. How are you? My name is blah blah blah. I was taking a look at your file. I saw that you did this in Scientology, and you haven't been a long time in Scientology. What's happened? Love, blah blah. Love Vivien or something.
So you're just trying to bring people back into the org.
And trying to find out what happened to the person. Why didn't the person come back? The first year, I've seen my parents Christmas for 3 days. And then when I came back, before I wanted to go, I had a CSW. The CSW was approved. CSW is like completed situation work.
Right.
Exactly. So there you have to explain, for example, situation. I want to go to Germany to my parents. Then you have to write why. For example, I was writing, I haven't seen my parents for 1 year, and I have got 2 sisters, and I want to see my sisters. I want to have a little bit of time with my family. And then you have to write what was the other point? I can't remember. And then you have to write, please approve the CSW. And then you have approve and disapprove. So she let me go to my parents. When I came back after 3 days, I went to ethics. Because she says I was blown. I had to write LWs, overs and withals, and had to do the conditions from treason onwards.
Did you find that helpful?
No. I was pissed.
Had you blown?
Pardon me?
Had you blown at that point?
No. The CSW was approved.
Mm-hmm. Did this make you want to blow?
Yes.
How long after this incident did you actually blow?
I never blow.
You never did?
No.
So how did you leave Scientology?
Well, there was a situation, which I have to say, when I was still the receptionist, Tanya was a friend of mine, and I had a 2D. You know 2D?
2D, no.
Second dynamic. That means boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
I had a boyfriend, and he was the FBO, the finance banking officer. And he was working in Birmingham. And we had some troubles because his boss we had the feeling that she was doing third partying. You know third partying?
Yes. Explain it to me, though.
That means like that some person is trying to destroy our relationship. She's trying to tell him, listen, she's out ethics. She's not a good person for you. You can't marry her. She's not doing a good job. And it's not a good idea because you're in Birmingham, she's in ASH. You can't see each other every single day. You see in, every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks or something. You have no chance to really have a relationship. That kind of stuff happened. And Tanya wrote a report about it. And this lady, which was the boss, she was in CMO. CMO is the Commanding Management Office. I think so, like that. Commanding Management Office. Yeah, Commanding Management Office, exactly. And this is the highest organization in St. Hill.
And what was the result of?
The result was I was taken off my post, and I went to ethics.
You went to ethics because she was
writing a report. I had to go to the boss of the boss from the FBO, yeah. And she was asking me why did I say that and blah 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 blah, and this went like on and on and on and on. And she says, well, you're gonna go to ethics and you're gonna write your W's because you have something fault with you. Your personality is fault. So I went to ethics. And I finished the relationship between me and him. And some other time there was another boy, and he came from Venezuela. He was working in the Freewinds office. You know what Freewinds office is? You know the Freewinds, right?
Yeah, that's the ship, right?
Exactly. That's the ship where you can do your OT8. So he was working for the office, for the Freewinds office. The Freewinds office has the responsibility to get people on the ship, to get revitalized on Scientology, to get them, move up the bridge or do OT8 or something like that. So first of all, we started to have a relationship like brother and sister, right? And this went like more and more. So a real relationship. And we were really in love to each other. And
was it easy having a relationship in Scientology?
No, because when you're in a Sea Org, you're not allowed to have sex, or you're not allowed to do heavy petting. I wanted to find out, I wanted to find out how is sex, I didn't know anything.
Did you have any education in it? No.
Nothing.
There was no one you could turn to?
No. So we did more than we were allowed to, and we swore to each other. We said, we are not going to say anything like this. 2 weeks later, it came up. He got an interview with the not with Shadow. I can't remember the post. It's like, here is the COCLO, and one post behind below it. Okay. So that guy, he was asking him questions like, well, what kind of relationship do you have with Vivien? And he broke the swore, and he told him everything. He went to ethics, and he did the EPF again. And me, I went to ethics. I got asked again. I was shut in a room for about 3 days to write OWs, to write everything down about it. And there was another situation come up with another guy.
Well,
with me.
Yeah.
With another guy, and if you do liability, liability, right? Okay, that's one of the conditions you do. So I wrote down a knowledge report about somebody else who was doing, who went out to eat with me, who was married, and who slept with me, and who was pushing me to do that, which I didn't want to do. And this report went to the COCMO, and I had to speak with her about it. I spoke with her about it. I swore her, this is the truth. I wrote down. She didn't believe me. She was asking him about it. He was saying, this is not true. We never slept with each other. I never told her to do that, etc. So then I got on like the call sex here from the CMO, right? She's like, I don't really know what she actually does. The only thing I know is that I went to the meter and she was asking me questions like, is that the truth? And, I had to tell her the whole situation again. And the needle was floating. So if the needle is floating, I was telling the truth. So he left the post. He went to ethics. And I was still in ethics. And the RTC office was there. And I was still writing OWs. And I had to go to the e-meter so they can check if I was finished with the OWs. I did this about 5 times. And they told me, you're not finished with the OWs. You can go back to write your OWs. I wrote about 4 weeks, I wrote OWs. And then I started writing OWs, which I've never done, to write another OW. So that I wrote this OW, which is not true. I never did this OW, because I didn't know any OWs anymore. So then I went on the e-meter and the needle was still not floating, And then I said, okay, well, listen, guys, fuck off. I'm not going to continue my OW writing. I wrote my OWs, and if you not believe that I'm finished, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to sit somewhere and I'm going to wait till I can go. So then they told me, there's an FO. The FO is called out 2D. No, 2D rules. And in this FO is stated what happens to somebody who goes out 2D. And usually, if you would have been on a ship and you went out to deep, they're gonna take you and throw you overboard. So they want me to go on the RPF, and I knew that I had somebody's friend of my parents was on the RPF for 6 years. So I said, I am not gonna go on the RPF. Because if I go on the RPF, I'm going to take maybe 8 years. So then I said, well, I'm going to leave the Sea Org. So then they were trying to tell me, well, if you leave the Sea Org, you still have OWs and blah, blah, blah. And out-int? Do you know that? Out-int? No? Out-int is like, the Scientologists, they say, you have a thetan. Yep. You are a thetan. Right. And you have a body. And if you have problems that your thetan comes into your body and leaves the body, if you have problems with it, you get you get headache pain, your whole body is painful, you're feeling sick and things like that. And the CS was saying, you are out. You're out-int. So usually what happens if somebody is out-int is the person gets a rundown, an out-int rundown. And until this rundown is not finished, the person is not allowed to study, is not allowed to get any kind of word clearing. The person is not allowed to get anything else on the bridge or sec checks or things like that. What happens? I got a sec check, and I was still out-int. So I got the sec check, and in the sec check came up that my needle was floating all the time when I wrote my Ws, and I went there and I took the cans, and although it came out in this 4 months, I was 20, I was for 4 months, I got 24 hours watched.
For 4 months?
4 months, yeah.
Somebody was watching you 24 hours a day?
Yeah. Security.
How do they do that?
Well, wherever I wanted to go, somebody has to come with me. If I wanted to go to the toilet, somebody has to come with me and stand in front of the toilet and check if I was still in the toilet. So if I wanted to go eat, I was eating with the RPF people. If I wanted to talk to my parents, someone who speaks German has to listen to the phone call. So then it came up that I was telling my parents that I'm getting a fitness board and I'm going to root out of the Sea Org. So I was told, well, there's a policy called leaving a lease. And in this policy, you're not allowed to tell anybody when you're leaving somewhere. So, and And in the section, it came up. And they were trying to tell me that this is my penalty, that I should get penalty for it. That I'm a suppressive person. Because in this policy says, if somebody tells that the person's going to go, the person gets a suppressive. It's like the person gets to a suppressive person. So, well, this came up and this came up. And when I came out of this session and I had to go to the examiner, you have to take the cans again and it's going to check if the session is okay. I was red tagged. And red tag means that the session was not successful. There's something happened in session which was not right. And the person has like the reactive mind is going completely crazy, or it could be like that the person like after a few hours person gets sick, or the person, whatever happens to the person. This happened. So I went in session again within 24 hours, because if you don't get in session within 24 hours, all stats of the HEC is 0. So I went back in session, and they were asking me, they gave me some list, whatever it was, I can't remember. And they were asking me some questions if there is something happened in session which I was not agreed with. I said yes. The point of that, I was violating the policy leading a lease. I said, listen, I'm not violating this policy. I just told my parents that I'm going to come back to Germany. And this is not violating this policy. Because I didn't tell anybody of St. Hill Manor that I'm leaving the Sea Org. I didn't tell it.
Why would that be such a big crime if you had told somebody?
Well, this would mean that I have OWs, and this would mean that I would have criminal acts. And this would mean that I would maybe black PR the Sea Org and black PR Scientology.
So would it...
They get in danger.
In essence, would your telling somebody in the Sea Org that you were leaving, would that maybe make them doubt?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason why I was not allowed to tell. Well, in this 4 months I was studying, I was getting work clearing, which I wasn't allowed to. I was writing OWs. I was doing mess work.
Isn't this frustrating when you want to leave?
Yeah.
For 4 months, they're keeping you there?
I had the feeling that they just want to destroy myself. That I'm like, that when I leave, I have no chance to survive. I mean, when I went back to Germany, my weight was 42 kilograms. Normally, if I would go to the doctor he would just send me to the clinic. You know, clinic? Hospital? Right. Kind of hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with kilograms. So that meant you were painfully thin?
Yeah.
And yet no one there at the org suggested you go to a doctor or that you should be concerned.
No. I'm going to start crying.
Were you concerned about your health at that point?
Yeah.
Could you express that to anyone?
Well, I mean, to somebody who was there?
Yeah.
No.
It's because it's your fault.
I mean, I was like feeling for the past 4 months that I was going step for step to that point that I'm going to die.
You were wasting away emotionally and physically.
And it was like in this 4 months, I was not allowed to talk to my parents.
You know, people from the outside who don't know Scientology, they ask, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you?
I was trying to leave. My aunt was coming over there. She's English, and she's living in the UK, and she was visiting me, and she was waiting for an hour to see me till they found me, and she wanted me to come with her to drink a coffee. And at this point, when I wanted to go in this car, if I want, in this point when I wanted to jump in the car, the security guys came and they just took me away.
They physically grabbed you, did not let you go.
No.
Where did they take you?
On my arms.
But they took
on their shoulders, yeah.
Right. They took you back and locked you in a room.
They took me to security, and then I went to HCO, and they started to tell me that I have OWs, and I said I have no OWs. I can go on the emitter. I have no problems with it. I went on the emitter and had a floating needle.
Was your aunt still concerned that you?
She was concerned.
Did you find out later that people were trying to contact you? And
the only thing I heard from my grandma, because I'm in contact with my grandma since about, I think, 3 weeks or something like that. She was the person who was helping me to get in contact with her, because all her sons and daughters, they're all in Scientology except one person. So she went and contact with my grandma, and we did an appointment, and we saw each other, and she told me that my aunt was really concerned, and she wanted to find out what happened.
How long after this before you finally were able to get out? How long after this incident where they took you physically? What happened?
Well, the security guards were everywhere. Wherever I went, the security guards were. When I was sleeping, the security guards were standing outside of the building and checking the windows, and in front of the door. One lady, she blew. 5 minutes later, they grabbed her and brought her back. So then I saw, okay, you have no chance to blow. You have no fucking chance. So I said then, okay, well, you just have to wait till they leave you.
What were you thinking? I mean, did this make any sense at all? That somebody wanted to leave and they could?
Well, I didn't understand it because when I signed the contract, they told me if you want to leave, you can leave. There's no problem.
But that wasn't the case.
No.
So how did you get out?
How did I get out? The RTC office was telling the CMO that to do everything that I leave the Sea Org, because I'm danger for the Sea Org, that I'm danger for Scientology if I still stay in Silent Hill.
So by that time they wanted you out.
Yeah. They were talking to my parents, and they were telling my parents that I'm going to come back to Germany. I was not allowed to talk to my parents all this 4 months. And they just told my parents, okay, listen, get a ticket for this lady. Tomorrow, she has to leave. We don't want her anymore. So my parents did this. They just organized the ticket. I came back. Just before I decided to leave Scientology was because my husband was homosexual, and I found that out after 4 months.
And you got married at what age?
18.
How old was he?
Pardon me? How old is he?
Was he?
31. And he was on staff in Hamburg. Well, he is on staff in Hamburg.
He still is?
He still is. So when I found that out, he kicked me out of the apartment, and I started to drink. To go and party every single weekend, I was starting to take drugs, to take grass. I was smoking grass.
Right.
And
you were still in Scientology?
No.
No, you had left.
Yeah, but not officially. And then I gave myself up as an American. When I was in the disco, I met somebody who is American, and some German guy who's now my boyfriend, and we are together since then. And he just like after some time, ages and ages, my dad came to my boyfriend and he said that I'm German, and he told the whole story, and he wanted to take me and to punish me for everything. So, well, at the next day, I came to a friend of mine who's a Scientologist. Maybe she's not a Scientologist anymore, I don't know. And they said, okay, well, listen, if you go to the org and if you go on ethics and you do the ethics program they give you, you can live there and we're going to support you on everything. Well, I did that. And then I got apartment. Then I was living in Wedel, which is about 30 kilometers from Hamburg. And I just left everything. I left my parents. I left this lady. I left everything. And after some time, I told everything my boyfriend about the Sea Org, about Scientology, about everything. So he told me, listen, you have got, there are two situations, me or Scientology. I said, listen, I don't want Scientology anymore. So he told me, I was calling Ingrid. She was the ethics officer from Hamburg. And I told her, listen, I'm gonna leave Scientology. And I don't want to do anything in Scientology anymore. Nothing. I don't want any calls. I don't want any mail. I don't want anything. So she told me, okay, give me this in writing. So I wrote everything down. I told her, listen, I didn't go to school. I have no opportunity to do anything so I can work properly. I had no real children. I don't know how you call that in English.
Childhood.
Yeah.
Yep.
So these are the reasons, and I put the other point. Whatever happened in the UK, this point. So I sent her that. 3 or 4 days later, my parents were standing in front of my apartment, and my mom came in. My dad left again. He just had an appointment or something, and my mom told me, okay, well. Whatever happened, she started to talk to me, and then she came to the point, why do you want to leave Scientology? I said, listen, I want to leave Scientology whatever happened in the UK, and I'm pissed about this situation. I didn't go to school. You didn't take the responsibility that I go to school, and I have the damage now. And I have to put my life in a real position so I can really live and survive. And you didn't do your job as a mom. So she told me, okay, well, listen, what's going to happen in 50 years? I said, listen, I'm not going to change my decision, which I made. I don't want to be a Scientologist anymore. Whatever happened in Scientology, I don't want to have it anymore. I don't want to go through the same situations, which I have done. So she told me, okay, well, I give you 1 week, and you can decide in this 1 week if you want to come back or if you really want to be a non-Scientologist anymore. I said, okay. So she told me, well, if you leave Scientology, you're never going to come in contact anymore with your family, with your sisters, with me, with your aunts, with your grandma, with your grandpa, with nobody. You're not going to be in contact with anybody. And we don't want you. I said, okay. And then, I started crying about this because I was just thinking, which mom is doing this? So, I was like, when she left, I was just about to kill myself.
And have you had any contact with him since?
Well, I called my dad once because I needed to have the certificates that I was at school. So I could finish, like, the lowest class of school.
Right.
And then they came up. He sent that letter. It goes through the post office, and I have to take it from the post office. So I went to the post office and got this letter. And in this letter, he wrote a letter, and in this letter was written that that I would be a criminal and I would do criminal acts, and he never wants to talk to me again. He never wants to see me again, and nothing at all.
How long has it been now since?
1.5 years.
Your boyfriend is supportive, and
Yeah, he is supporting.
And you have friends that you've made since
Well,
dating?
I start to make friends.
Yeah.
I start to learn to be in this civilization.
Is it easy to come out of Scientology having grown up in this?
No. You have the feeling that if you do something wrong, you're just a criminal. Whatever you do, you think it's your fault.
You know that's not true.
Yeah, but it still comes up.
It's ingrained.
I mean, since that time, I can't eat. Normally, I mean, Ushi says that that I should go to a hospital for about 3 weeks or something like that, and maybe it's going to change. But it's like, as soon as stress comes, forget it. There's nothing is going to stay in my body.
What would you like people to know about Scientology?
That they are just criminal. They do what they want with you. They're starting to kill you in some little bits. And when they finished with you, it takes you a long time to start being yourself again. To start to want to live. It's like you can't, when you come out of that, you have like the feeling of, if there's coming some situations where you don't know what to do, or you can't confront the situation, you want to kill yourself. So that's the reason why I would say, anybody who wants to go to Scientology, just don't go. Sooner or later, you're going to kill yourself if something is not going to happen.
Well, you're going to help people.
Yeah, I'm going to help people.
And people are going to help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there you go. I really appreciated her taking the time to tell her story. Out there on the streets of Leipzig, someone was asking what city this was in. It was in Leipzig, and I saw also somebody just mention, Love Maddie says, and this is all happening in England and Germany. Wow, it's happening wherever Scientology is. Oh, there we go. I just wanted to hide that comment. I lost where it was. Okay. And also, there was a question that I get all the time. Do I know how she's doing now? Have I been in contact with Vivien? No, I haven't. I think it's probably was 1 year after this interview, as I remember. So I don't even know Vivien's last name. Now, she didn't want to put it on the video or put it on the web, so it's just Vivien. But I think we held this for a year for her, if I'm remembering this correctly. And then she gave us permission to actually put it online. As I don't know how to get a hold of her. And I don't know if anybody out there knows Vivien and can get a message to her, because there are a whole hell of a lot of people who've been concerned about her over the years. And that's the same with all these folks who have been damaged by Scientology. People would like to see them get justice. And does it matter to you, not to me? Says, thanks for the cry. Well, I was crying with her on the streets of Leipzig as she was telling the story. I happen to be, I feel things more than I'm able to voice things. And in many respects, it helps when I'm doing an interview like this, because we can both be in the moment and share that experience. And Rathazino says, I hope she's really doing well, doing all right and rebuilt her life. I hope so as well. I hope she's living the life she deserves, and this video definitely does help others, says Tampa A. I agree with you. So I appreciate you spending the time with me here and sharing her story. And I had a lot of fun prior to this talking about movies and everything else we did get into. And we'll do much more of that. I've got, I did 3 interviews in Leipzig at this time. I have Natasha ready to go, and Natasha talks about disconnection in a shorter video. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. And then I have one other woman that I still need to put that together and see if I can make that look a little bit better before I play that one. So is there anything else you folks want to talk about before we go? We're closing in on 2 hours here. Are you saying, how about a movie night once a week? Well, I don't know why it has to be just once a week. But yeah, I would like to do that. In fact, I mentioned this before, but there's a kid that I know who's a huge movie buff. And I want to do a show with him, see the multi-generational divide and share our movie-going experiences. But it's fun living through him where he's, I just saw Clockwork Orange. Oh my God. Seeing these films for the first time. As a matter of fact, I was thinking, I have to have him watch Metropolis. Thanks for sharing this interview again. You're welcome. And Kelly, it seems like you like the idea of the 2 of us doing a movie review show. Mm-hmm. Witness LOL. I don't know what IKR means, Mark. Great movies no one has ever seen. And that's one thing I want to do in this show is we'll do a movie challenge. But I'll suggest a movie to him that he needs to watch in the next week, and he'll suggest one that I need to watch, so we can kind of see if our tastes align in that way. Maybe you could post it on the community page ahead of time so we could watch it too. Oh, that's a good idea. I think if we did this, and I hope we do it, that we would announce the films at the end of one show and then the next week, so we can put out there, this is what we're going to be watching. Clockwork Orange, blue circle in red. Circled in red's mind. Thank you. I know, right? Thank you, Kelly. I can always depend on you. And Wrath of Xenu says, thank you, Mark, for this. It's important to shed light on the abuses of Scientology. And we've got a whole world of people doing it now, too. It's great to see that, the net is awash with people sharing their stories now. There's so many places where people can come out of Scientology and have their stories told online. You love that idea? Good. I'm glad. Well, I'll have to tell him let's get this done. Maybe this next week. And circled in red. Can I ask you what the circled in red means? While we're waiting, Jay says, Mark, I hate coming in late. Is there a certain time you go live around? Around 10. And, I can change that. The reason, I started doing it at this point was because there's so many people who have streams that is always, don't go live now because so-and-so's got a stream. Oh, they just started a stream. And I thought, well, the audience is being separated. So I'll do a late night gig. I should put together a monologue and have a house band and have some guests in. I've got my own late night show. But somewhere around 10. Now it's a little closer to 10:15 or 10:30 because from 9 till 10 is Rachel Maddow. And I'm watching her. I don't care. I don't care if you're waiting around. I'm watching Rachel, and then I'll come on the air. What else is here? I hope she made it and is living happily ever after. Love, Maddie. I agree with you. So circle in red. When a PC voices an evil purpose, the auditor is supposed to write it down and circle it in red. Well, that's interesting. Thank you. I'm glad you asked us to ask that question. Is anybody else who wants me to ask a question about them and provide me the question? I hope it's as good as this one. Thank you, circled in red. You missed, Love Manny says, I missed how you found Vivien to interview. Well, I didn't have to work hard to find her because we were in Leipzig, Germany for this event where Bob Minton was receiving a humanitarian award. And it was a coming together of a lot of critics from around the world, especially around Europe. And Ursula Caberta, German government official who was on the task force about Scientology in Germany. She was in charge of that. She had been working with Vivien and these other people that I interview. So once I got there, there were people, willing and ready to tell their stories. So I just grabbed them and said, come on, sit down. Let's do an interview. So it wasn't a lot of detective work on my part. I just said, hey, how about you? Kelly, we can't get in the way of Rachel. It's true, but she's only doing the first 100 days of the Trump administration. After that, I can start anytime I want. Witness stopped watching Rachel. She's the one show you don't stop. She's somebody who's not pulling punches. I would say give her a shot. I stopped watching Morning Joe, but Rachel and 2 hours of She's my afternoon sweetheart. Dateline White House with her, the woman I love. Oh God. Man, oh man. Why? What I remember being a kid and I had, the entire roster of actors from the 30s and 40s, and I had all of those names in my brain. I carried around the giant book about all the MGM stock players, for example, and other studios as well. So I if somebody wanted to know who Cuddle Zakal was, I could tell them. Nicole Wallace, thank you. So, and I can remember, those names, but Nicole Wallace, I should never forget her. I love Nicole Wallace. I love the fact that she often curses on her show too. She'll let slip, something that management is not happy about. So she occasionally is allowed one curse. Miss Chicago Jane says, "Hi, Mark." Hello to you, Miss Chicago Jane. And Witness, I think this is very important that you clear this up for all of us. Your name is Whitney, not White anything. Thank you. I would also love to hear a deeper dive about the movie stars from that era. Well, we can get into stuff. But my point being in mentioning that, I had all these names in my head. So, I'd be looking at my grandparents and they couldn't remember anybody's names. And I thought, oops, thank you. That'll never happen to me. All I'll do is just clumsily knock over things when I'm doing a live broadcast. And that reminded me, when this was going on, Darvo was mentioned here, and I did a Google search for it because I'd never heard of Darvo before, and I do think it's interesting. It's a manipulative tactic used by abusers to avoid responsibility for their actions. It stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Darvo. I'm glad there's something like that out there, bringing more attention to it. This aging gig ain't all it's cracked up to be, but it beats the alternative. Yep. That is Darvo. Great word clearing there, Mark. Well, I only did that because somebody said, look it up on Google. So they kept me busy. I had, I had so many books. I started buying them when I was in high school, I think, hardcover books. I'd be going to every bookstore around and digging through the, discount bins, usually. Some of the first books I bought were Ray Bradbury. I had a couple of his books. I probably had several of them, including Martian Chronicles. And also a couple of my first things I bought, I had all of the Sherlock Holmes stories in one volume, everything that Arthur Conan Doyle wrote. And then I stumbled upon the 7% Solution, which I think was the first pastiche book of Sherlock Holmes. I could be wrong about that, but this is the first big one that I was aware of. Nicholas Meyer wrote this story about Sherlock, with Dr. Watson off with his wife or something, and comes and checks in on Holmes, and Holmes is deep into a drug addiction, 7% solution of, was it heroin? I don't know, but he was in bad shape, and Watson has to create a case to trick him into going to see who Alan Arkin played in the movie version, Sigmund Freud. And I absolutely loved that book. And I got to meet Nicholas Meyer, who not only wrote that, but he's written several other Sherlock Holmes books since then. West End Horror was the next one that I remember, which was Jack the Ripper, and set in the theatrical world of London at that point. And I met him when I was working at Paramount. He had an office there. One of the things I used to do is just wander through the buildings to see who was where. And Nicholas Meyer, oh my God, not only did these books, but also directed Star Trek II Wrath of Khan and put Star Trek back on track, and was the man behind the good Star Trek films, 2, 4, and 6. So I had a chance to sit down with him for quite some time, and I told him that this is my all-time favorite Sherlock Holmes story, this 7% solution. And he was surprised by that. And I explained it's because it's about the characters of Holmes and Watson. And I think he did a wonderful job of bringing them centered into the story and still telling a great mystery. So anyway, and then we talked about Star Trek, and he agreed with me that Star Trek 3 ruined a lot of great stuff that he did in Star Trek 2, like killing off Spock's son, not Spock's son, Kirk's son. You just introduce him in Star Trek 2. Star Trek 3, he's dead. Anyway. But my point was, I bought books, and I have an addictive personality. So I had my entire apartment used to be all bookcases filling all the walls. And every time I had to move, I would wind up selling a bunch of the books to make the move easier. And now I'm down to a couple little bookcases here with the things that many of them have been with me since my youth. And that pack rat type of obsession now, well, I had it with laser discs for a while, hunting through laser discs. Oh my God, these are widescreen movies with commentary. Oh my God. I had a friend who worked at a Laserdisc store in Pasadena when the first DVDs were announced coming out. And in the first batch were 10 movies. I remember one of them was Twister. And they announced these videos, and my friend said, yeah, good luck having those be affordable. And they were $20. Laser discs were $35 for many of them, and up to like the Star Wars box set was $200 now, which now you can get for peanuts. Anyway, enough of this. It's been a long time, and I'm just getting off on tangents. The fact is, I had a lot of fun tonight. And I hope that you join me to do it again, perhaps tomorrow night. I think I have some things that are ready to go. And I've got a lot of things that I've been working on, including a lot of radio shows. And as I mentioned last night, I've been trying to go through the entire audio of the Jesse Prince trial, where Scientology set him up on a drug charge, and he had to go stand trial, the judge was nice enough to allow me to record the audio. I couldn't record the video because there was somebody who was, I don't know, like a undercover detective or something. You didn't want his identity revealed out there, or at least his face. Love Sherlock Holmes, the Big Book, says Love Maddie. Did you watch the Sherlock Holmes BB series with Jeremy Brett that followed it extremely close? I have to confess, no, I haven't watched. I know that everyone says he's the very best Holmes there is, and I have a few of his episodes I'm going to start to watch. Good night, Wrath of Xenu. But I will say, I think the very best Watson, in my opinion, was the movie of 7% Solution, where he was played by Robert Duvall. A very different Robert Duvall type of performance. There was a tenderness to him in that I thought was extremely well done. All right. So, folks, I'm calling it a night. The only way we're all going to be able to disperse and live our lives again is if I just say good night, night everybody. I had fun, and I don't mean to be rude, but get out of my house. Get out. Wait a minute. I think that was rude. Anyway, see you again soon. And, pleasant dreams and pleasant streaming. Don't forget the extreme, never mind, the Nicolas Cage film, whatever that thing was. Good night.
What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Your crimes are hidden, they should be seen. Spin all out, Mark, and just come clean.